What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Mastiff's MMA Show, episode number 3. We are rolling here, and we're going to stick to it. We'll see if we can build an audience for this thing. And I'm happy to announce that starting next week, I'm actually going to have a co-host on this show. And it is none other than Mr. Jeff Frank, my former co-host of the Total Arm Wrestling Show. When I say former, I use that term loosely because, of course, Jeff and I still do the odd show here and there, but let's get right into it. Last weekend, we saw some action. Now, I want to start with Bellator because, in all honesty, out of everything I saw last weekend, Bellator was the main entertainment, man. I'll talk about 3 fights on that card. Let's start with Aaron Pico versus Adley Edwards. Now, from what I saw in that fight, I don't know what you guys saw, but I saw a beating. Aaron Pico beat the shit out of that guy until Mike Beltran stopped that fight, mercifully stopped that fight, because there was nothing going on as far as Edwards mounting some sort of offense. Aaron Pico get another win. And then we move on. We've got Corey Anderson versus Vadim Nemkoff. We saw Vadim actually lose his title, and I had him picked to win and continue on in that Grand Prix. But Corey Anderson. And now when I look back at it, we're calling it an accidental clash of heads. And it's a no contest? What the hell? That is interesting. So I guess we have a no contest, which means Nemkoff remains the champ. Going into the next fight, we got Patricio Pitbull versus Aj Mckee, and this one was shocking to me because I saw Aj Mckee kind of having his way with Pitbull. I thought he won every single round. Pitbull had his moments, but then we saw a lopsided decision, a unanimous decision, go to Pitbull, which means he's won every single one of his rematches. Now, the weird narrative that's kind of surrounding this fight is that you heard Mckee saying that he wants 7 figures for every fight going forward or something like that. And there's going to be conspiracy theories and guys talking about what actually happened here. But these guys are definitely going to have a rematch. They're 1-1 now. And Mckee looked shocked when that decision came in. And I watched it. I watched it without volume. So there was no influence from any of the people talking about it, or the commentators talking about that fight. So we ended up having, when I saw the decision, I turned up the volume and I was blown away. Absolutely floored by that one. Moving on to the UFC. Underwhelming is the best way to describe kind of the whole card. You had a welterweight fight that had a TKO. You had decision after decision, the odd one here and there that wasn't. But, I mean, Bilal Muhammad came in and fought a smart fight, did what he had to do to get the win in the rematch over Luque. And Luque is now, they're now 1-1, but Bilal looked really good. And what is next for him? Well, he's going to have to wait probably for all the rest of the stuff to get sorted out. There's all kinds of rumors floating around about Kamaru Usman actually maybe still not fighting Leon Edwards, and that there's rumors about Edwards getting offered his show and win money to step aside and let Conor McGregor come back off of a couple of losses and fight for the welterweight title against Kamaru Usman. I mean, I'm in. I'll buy it. I'll watch. But all in all, that fight should be a pretty dirty beating. And without Conor coming out on top, Usman being the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. Now, the UFC this weekend is putting forth a good effort to compete against boxing. But we got Amanda Lamos versus Jessica Andrade. That should be an amazing fight. The women headlining the card in the strawweight bout. We got a couple of good heavyweight bouts going on. But The one I think I'm most excited to see, because I'm an old school guy, is to see Clay Guida, who's been on a bit of a winning streak against a guy I don't know this guy, Claudio Puelles, but Clay Guida coming on and still taking out these young guys, still doing it, still kicking ass, and he's right there. Of course, the UFC competing with the Tyson Fury fight. And as is the problem with boxing, they always build their event around one single fight. I couldn't tell you who's on the undercard. Dylan White does not look like a guy that's going to threaten Tyson Fury. He is a small heavyweight compared to Tyson Fury, and I think you're going to see kind of an ass whooping here. But good on them. They're doing it. And just to wrap all this up, make sure you enjoy the fights this weekend, people. We will be back next week on the same day at the same time, but we will probably be live. We'll have lots to talk about, and my co-host, as I mentioned earlier, will be joining us. Make sure you check out the live broadcast. We'll see you next week.